course, a little bit of history, a little bit of contemporary aspects, all of it coming alive. Over to our chair.
ஸோ காலையிலேருந்து 2 செஷன் பார்த்துருக்கோம். 2 செஷன்ஸுமே வந்து ஒன்றுக்கொன்று வித்தியாசமான செஷன்ஸ் தான். இப்போ 3ஆவதாக நாம் பார்க்க போவது அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து நீங்கள் ரொம்பவே வந்து ஆச்சரியப்பட போகிற ஒரு செஷனாக இருக்கும். ஏன்னா நம்மோடு இருப்பவர் எட்டயபுரத்தின் 42வது மகாராஜா திரு சந்திர சைத்தன்யா அவர்கள். ஸோ இன்றைக்கி இந்த கான்வர்சேஷன் ஏன் ரொம்ப முக்கியமானது அப்படின்னா, நம்முடைய கல்ச்சரை ப்ரிசர்வ் பண்ணுறது அப்படிங்கிறது ரொம்ப பெரிய ஒரு விஷயமாக இருக்கிறது. அதை செய்து கொண்டிருப்பவர் அவர். எட்டயபுரத்தை பற்றி நான் சொல்லி தெரிய வேண்டியதில்லை, உங்கள் எல்லாருக்குமே நன்கு அறிந்த ஒரு விஷயந்தான். எட்டயபுரம் அப்படின்னாலே உடனடியாக நம்ம மனதிற்கு என்ன வரும்? மாணவர்கள்லாம் இருக்கீங்க, பாரதியார் உடனடியாக நினைவுக்கு வருவார் எட்டயபுரம் அப்படின்னு சொன்ன உடனேயே. பாரதியாரை ஆதரித்து பாரதியாரை ஒரு கவிஞனாக உயர்த்தியது அவருடைய ராஜ குடும்பம் தான். அதே போல் உமறுப்புலவர் மாதிரியான பல்வேறு தமிழ் புலவர்கள், அறிஞர்கள், இசைக்கலைஞர்கள் அப்படின்னு ஆரம்பத்திலிருந்தே தமிழ் மொழியையும் இசையையும் வளர்த்த குடும்பத்தைச் சேர்ந்தவர் அவர். இன்னும் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் அவர்கிட்டேருந்தே நாம் கேட்டு தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். சார், டு பிகின் வித், எட்டயபுரம் அப்படிங்கிறது ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கலி இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் அப்படிங்கிறத தாண்டி, ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கலி தமிழ்நாட்டுக்கு இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் அப்படிங்கிறத தாண்டி இந்தியாவுக்கே எட்டயபுரம் ரொம்ப முக்கியமான ஒரு இடமாக இருக்கிறது. ஏன்னா வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃப்ரீடம் ஸ்ட்ரகிள் தொடங்கிய இடமாகவும் எட்டயபுரம் இருக்கிறது. அந்த இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸை பற்றி ஃபஸ்ட்டு சொல்லுங்கள் சார்.
டெஃபினெட்லி அது வந்து அகெயின் இட்ஸ் ஒன் ஆஃப் த லெஸர் நோன் ஹிஸ்ட்ரிஸ். இப்போ நீங்கள் ஜென்ரலாக இப்போ ஈவன் நவ் யூபிஎஸ்சி சிலபஸ் எல்லாம் பார்க்கும்போது யூல் நோ தட் ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஃப்ரீடம் ஃபைட்டர் வாஸ் Maviran Alamuthukon, who was executed by Madanayagam Khan Sahib in that Bedanayakanur fort siege. So that he was, what the lesser known fact about this is that Maviran Alamuthukon was the general of the Ettayapuram army. So for generations his family has hereditarily held that position, and this fight began when we were one of the first people who refused to pay that kappam to the British, the East India Company. We refused to recognize the legitimacy of the East India Company to demand tax. And in fact, we fought. We had to leave Ettayapuram and move to another place and spent 2 generations there because of this war against the East India Company. So this is like one of the earliest moments of rebellion against somebody who...
At that time, yours was the 3rd largest kingdom.
Yes,
third largest
has been the 3rd largest in Tamil Nadu, yes. Yeah. Okay. Consecutively. And so the things that I'm doing as a conservationist is to preserve this history. So when you talk about history as an inheritance, right? When you're talking about culture as an inheritance, my view is that to not just look at this as an inheritance, but to see this as something that you are entrusted with. You know, it comes with a good deal of responsibility, because this is something that is very strongly attached to our identity as individuals. And we have a duty today to bridge this gap between the past and the future. We have to take this forward to the next generation. Yeah. So whatever I can do to help correctly document the right history and ensure that the same is carried forward to the next generation, I'm involved in this affair. Like, for instance, of course, like I'm sure everybody would have heard a wrong history has also been portrayed as far as the Ettayapuram family is concerned, which took its origin from a movie, which is factually inaccurate.
Yeah. From the Veerapandiyan Kattaboman movie.
So that wrong depiction found its place today in the textbooks. Yeah. So, in fact, a few months earlier, I met through Anbil Mahesh sir, and I made this, I let him know that such a thing is there, and he, in fact, immediately looked into it and
To take it out of the syllabus.
Yes, he gave me his assurance that he will have it removed from the syllabus and the right history put in place. So these are the sort of, like, when it comes to documenting history, it's very important to make doubly sure that the right history is the one that is being documented.
Okay.
But luckily, you know,
What are the measures you are taking for that?
So there is preservation of documents, there is preservation of paintings and artifacts. Even architectural preservation is a big deal because buildings that were built in those days, they're not maintained right in a right manner. They tend to, you know, collapse. And that sort of architecture is not something we can replicate today. So the least that we can do is help to preserve it. And hope that this preservation, like the advantage today is that, you know, modern technology can be used in a good way. You know, unfortunately, when we look at technology, we always tend to look to the West. But the thing that we can do is, right, we can maybe just take the technology from the West, but we don't need to imbibe the culture of the West along with the technology. We can use it, we can adapt it to our culture, to help preserve our culture. So there is a way in which we can help the people relive that history, to actually have an augmented reality sort of perspective, to understand that history, to live it in the first person, and that way, you know, you can, it'll build a more stronger connection.
So culturally, Ettayapuram Kingdom was very important to Tamil culture.
Yes, definitely.
Tell us
we
about
have
that.
contributed to Muttamil, as they say, you know, all three forms, Iyalisai Nadagam, all three we have contributed to. And I'm proud to say that, you know, I'm still trying to stay in touch with those roots and keep connected with the people who are involved in those art forms to help promote them. You know, my role as one of my roles as a preservationist is not just to do with the buildings and the artifacts, but also the people who are involved in those art forms. Like, a lot of art forms would die if people are not giving it its due importance. So helping to identify such artisans and having their art form shown to the people and help preserve that, that is one of the most important things I feel I should do.
So when we talk about Ettayapuram, Bharatiyar is the first name comes
Definitely.
to everybody's mind.
Yes, definitely.
So what was the connection between Bharatiyar and your family? How it started?
So I'm sure there are many versions as to how Bharatiyar spent his childhood in Ettayapuram and other things. Even the fact, the manner in which he obtained the title of Bharati. So, but the story that has come down through the generations in my family.
Subramanyam became Bharatiyar
Yes.
because of Ettayapuram family.
Yes. Yeah. So the verbatim story that has been passed down through generations in my family is that at that time, my great-great-grandfather, who was a great proponent of poetry and other art forms, he had heard of the skill of a young, like I think around 7-year-old boy, who could compose poetry at such a young age. So when his Bharatiyar's house was close to our palace, so when he met him, and at that time Bharatiyar was actually accompanied by Navalar Somasundra Bharati, who is also a prolific scholar. So they were both youngsters at that time. They were playing in the palace grounds, and my great-great-grandfather met him and asked him, you know, ரொம்ப இது கவிதையெல்லாம் இது பண்ணுவீங்கன்னு கவிதையெல்லாம் எழுதுவீங்கன்னு கேள்விப்பட்டேனே, நீங்கள் வந்து ஒரு 2 கவிதை எனக்கு பாடுங்க அப்படின்னு when he said, they immediately composed a poem on the spot. And
on the spot.
Yes, and when he heard it, he was so impressed. He said, நீங்கள் பாரதி, நீங்கள் 2 பேரும் பாரதி. And because of that, if you see, even Navalar Somasundra Bharati to his very end always used the title of Somasundra Bharati.
Bharatiyar, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the story that has been told to us over generations.
Okay, so it is not one but given to 2 persons.
Yes,
actually.
at that moment. At that moment, it was given to both at the same time. And also, like Bharatiyar had spent his young age in Varanasi, as you know. And it was one of my ancestors who had traveled to the Delhi Darbar at the time. On his way back, he came through Varanasi, and there when he met Bardiyar, he insisted that Bardiyar should return back to Ettyapuram with him and take an honored position in the Ettyapuram court. And that is how Bardiyar returned to Tamil Nadu at that time.
So when we talk about the legacy of Ettyapuram, apart from the British history, it dates back to 1,000 years, actually.
Yes, 1,200 years.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
So we take our origin from the year 803, actually, from Chandragiri, which is close to Tirupati, actually.
Okay.
And we had spent our early years with the Vijayanagar Empire and then the Pandya Rajas and so on. And we moved slowly southwards.
So that's why it is very important, because it was the end of the Chola dynasty.
Yes.
And slowly the other dynasties are taking up.
Yeah.
And your family was in Sankagiri at that time.
Yes, at that time. And slowly over the years, they decided to move down south. And as they moved more into the Pandya territories, they formed a very close relationship with the Pandya kings at the time. And so we had fought many wars alongside the Pandya kings. And slowly, a lot of the
So
territories
you were allies with
Yes, with
Pandyas.
the Pandyas. We were very close allies with the Pandyas. And in fact, certain areas were entrusted to us because of the kind of staunch, I would say, loyalty that we had with the Pandyas at that time. So, and then we moved down south to Ettyapuram. And when we moved to Ettyapuram, I feel like they realized that this was the place to settle. And
So when you come down south in Tamil Nadu, how did you selected Ettyapuram to establish your next kingdom?
so there are a couple of
Why Ettyapuram was selected to establish the kingdom?
So there's a couple of stories, I would say, with regard to why this. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but the story is that at the time when they were hunting, they were, I think, pursuing a rabbit.
Okay.
And the hunting dogs were chasing the rabbit. And it reached a point where I felt like maybe the rabbit, realized that it was going to get caught. But instead of just getting caught, it turned around and tried to defend itself against a dog when it knew that it had no chance.
Oh.
So when the Raja at the time saw this, he stopped the dog and he felt like, this soil has a strength to it, a tenacity, where even a rabbit which is supposed to be frightened is able to stand and fight against an enemy that it knows that it has no chance against. So this is a story. I mean, I don't know how true this is. I mean, these are all myths. But I would say historically the aspect is that there was a well over there which had a reputation of never being dry.
Okay.
So during the time, water was always
Water
a problem.
was the main reason.
Water
The
was
water
always,
resources.
Yes, water was always a scarcity. So when they realized that a well is something, this could sustain the people who have migrated with them, they felt secure that, this would be a good place to put down roots.
Okay.
And this all happened in the year 1567. Like, yeah.
ஸோ டாக்கிங் அபவுட் ஹிஸ்ட்ரி, இது எல்லாத்தையும் நம்ம பார்க்கும்பொழுது இன்னைக்கு ஹிஸ்ட்ரியை நீங்களே நேரில் வந்து எங்ககிட்ட சொல்கிறீங்க. ஸோ நாங்கள் ஒரு புக்கில் போய் படித்து, ஓகே இந்த கிங்ஸ் என்ன பண்ணாங்க, இந்த டைனாஸ்டி என்ன பண்ணாங்க அப்படின்லாம் வந்து இன்ஸ்டெட் ஆஃப் ரீடிங் ஃப்ரம் த புக், வி ஆர் ஹியரிங் ஃப்ரம் தி பர்சன் ஹிம்செல்ஃப், ஃப்ரம் த ஓன் ஃபேமிலி. அவங்கக்கிட்டேருந்தே நம்ம இப்போ கேட்டுட்டு இருக்கோம். இட்ஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டண்ட். அண்ட் இதெல்லாம் படிக்கிறதுல, இதெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுல என்ன ரொம்ப முக்கியம்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க? டு மெயின்டைன் த தமிழ் ப்ரைட், டு ப்ரிசர்வ் த கல்ச்சர்.
So to preserve culture, of course, the number one thing is to always take enormous pride in our culture, in our history, from where we come from. Like, no matter what, like, even amongst the diaspora, the Indian diaspora, and people are slowly starting to reattach to their culture and their roots and take pride in that. This is something that we should all undoubtedly aspire to do. And I would take it a step further and say this is not just something that we should try to imbibe, but this is something that is our duty. You know, it is like a, this is the way that we can honor the kind of sacrifices our ancestors and the people of our soil have done to secure this wonderful, proud land of India. So, what we can do to help preserve this culture, we should always do. It can be something simple as even, like, say, there is a, Kumiyaattam is a traditional form of dance, right? So you see somebody performing that somewhere. Take a video, share it with a few people, let them know that such a cultural thing exists. It can be something as simple as that, but even that is significant because it helps contribute to the sustenance of that art form.
True,
and so, yeah,
So
that
that is
my,
the important thing.
Yeah.
And I have a எனக்கு ஒரு கோரிக்கை இருக்குது உங்ககிட்ட சொல்கிறதுக்கு. லாஸ்ட் டைம் வந்து when I visited எட்டயபுரம், you are very generous. ஏன்னா வந்து அந்த அந்த இடங்களில் அந்த வெப்பன்ஸ், உங்களுடைய அந்த ப்ரிஷியஸான அந்த பெயிண்டிங்ஸ், உங்களோட ஹிஸ்ட்ரி எல்லாத்தையும் வந்து காட்டினீங்க. எனக்கு என்ன தோணுது அப்படின்னாக்க எல்லாருமே அதை பார்த்தா ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு தோணுது. ஸோ பப்ளிக்குக்கும் அதை பார்க்குற மாதிரியான ஒரு விஷயம்.
அதுக்கு உண்டான ரெஸ்டரேஷன் ஒர்க்ஸ் இஸ் கோயிங் ஆன். ஆக்சுவலி when I fundamentally mean restoration, this is one of the things that we are doing. Currently we are actually working on there is a very ancient painting of the coronation of Lord Rama, which is like a huge wall mural about 14 by 15 feet, painted in that very specific style. And it has taken enormous effort to have this one properly restored.
So you're restoring everything.
Yes. Again. So this is the first step that we've taken. So my hope is to slowly restore all of the important places there and definitely have the public to view it, and not just in a way where they, you know, just come and see the palace or see a few artifacts and go, but see it in a way where they can actually experience things. You know, there is virtual reality and other things, other technological tools that are available to us to help the people to actually see how things were in those days and not just see how things as they are today. So yes,
great initiative. உங்களுடைய எல்லா முயற்சிகள்லையும் உங்களுக்கு வெற்றி கிடைக்கட்டும்னு வாழ்த்துறோம்.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our speaker who reminded that history is not so far away. It is actually keeping up with us. Thank you very much for that, sir. If I may kindly call upon Mr. Gautam Datta to join us on stage and felicitate our speaker, National Sales Head, ABP Network. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause as we welcome sir. I think this session has been a lovely juxtaposition of history and how to not only keep it relevant, but keep it as part of our lives, and the pride that comes along with keeping it in our lives every single day is what we've seen here on stage. If I may request you to put your hands together for our speaker. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And of course, thank you, Mr. Ganesh Ramachandran, for that wonderful conversation. Our next title goes straight to the heart of electoral integrity. And while we set the stage for that, if we may kindly request all of our guests who are in the auditorium to take a quick second, maybe have a few reflections. We've seen wonderful conversations here and we're just a couple of sessions in. So if you're looking at how you're enjoying this particular platform, ladies and gentlemen, we'd love to see that story as well. So please make sure that you're following us on ABP Nadu, ABP Live, ABP Desam. And when you're actually sharing your stories online, please don't forget to use the hashtag ABP Southern Rising. Ladies and gentlemen, we're truly proud to present to you a host of conversations. We started off on a wonderful note of the Dravidian algorithm. From there on, we went to education. We took a look into the cultural aspect of it. And with that, the next part is just as integral. We're going to be talking about one particular topic that has sparked debates across living rooms, across media landscape, and I have to say that across our stage also is going to be a very short reality, very quick reality. As soon as the stage is set, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about a subject that concerns every voter, every party, every democracy. And of course, I think it's safe to say that this isn't just a topic that sits in the background. It makes sure that it steps forward, It makes sure that it creates trust and participation, the very legitimacy that we depend on. The SIR electoral roll, ladies and gentlemen, has, like I said, triggered debates. And today, instead of speculation, we have the wonderful opportunity to choose clarity. We've got leaders from across the spectrum who are here, who are going to break down what these words mean, of course, where the concerns are coming from as well, what voters deserve to know. Driving this very conversation, we have one of India's most trusted journalistic voices, Mr. Desam, who's going to be joining us. A huge round of applause as we welcome our representatives from across the spectrum. May I kindly request you to put your hands together for Thiru Salem Dharanidharan avargal from DMK, Thiru Kovai Satyan avargal from AIA DMK, Dr. S. G. Surya, President Youth Wing, BJP Tamil Nadu.